Hey, Living Hope. So I have a question for you. What do you do with glasses? Suggestions? Fill it with water? Maybe some juice? Soda? Okay. All right, I hear your suggestions, so I'll be right back. I'm back. Okay, so I took your suggestions and I did this. What do you think about that? There's some dirt in there. This is a little zinnia plant right here. It's going to make a flower someday. So what do you think about that? Right? You said, I know you said they were used for water and drinks, but I put a plant in it, right? So what if I filled all of the glasses in the house with plants, right? I'd be a crazy plant lady. And all my glasses would be filled with plants. Let's see what my kids think about this.
Can I have a drink of water, please, Mama?
You want a drink of water?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a glass.
No.
There you go. Here, Claire.
No.
They seem to think that this isn't going to work for water.
That's not water.
Why isn't this going to work?
That's dirt.
This is dirt. Are you telling me that this is not what a glass is supposed to be used for?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, so my kids didn't think that this would be a good use for water, right? And it's not. I mean, if you put water in here, it would be disgusting. And you might get a plant, which is also gross. So we're going to talk about the temple today. And we're going to talk about how the temple was being used for something it shouldn't be used for. Just like this glass is being used to plant plants. And it's not supposed to be used for that. So the temple is kind of like what we would consider our church today. So the Israelites went and they worshiped at the temple. And it wasn't just for Israelites. It was for anyone who wanted to go and worship God, right? And there's a sweet prayer that King Solomon, David's son, prayed when he dedicated the temple. You remember King Solomon built the temple? And he went and he prayed over the temple after he had built it. And he said, Lord, when anyone, any foreigner, even if they're not an Israelite, when they come and they pray at this temple, would you answer their prayer so that they would know that you are God and that your glory would spread throughout the earth, right? And so that's what the temple was supposed to be for. It was supposed to be a place where Israelites or anyone who wanted to worship God could come and gather and pray. So where we pick up our story is with Jesus, and he's coming to the temple, and he's coming into Jerusalem where the temple was because he's getting ready to celebrate a holiday called the Passover. And when he went into the temple, let's find out what's going on here. So this is in Mark chapter 11, verse 15, and this is what it says. And they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold and those who bought in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. And he would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. And he was teaching them and saying to them, Is it not written, My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations, but you have made it a den of robbers? And the chief priests and the scribes heard it and were seeking a way to destroy him, for they feared him, because all the crowd was astonished at his teaching. And when evening came, they went out of the city. So did you catch what was going on here? There were people selling things, and there were money changers. And when Jesus came in, he was not happy to find this going on, and he was angry. He was rightly angry because they had done something with God's house that they were not supposed to do. They had made God's house not a place of worship, but a place where they could make money. With all these extra people in town, they were trying to take advantage of the fact that there would be more people coming to the temple. They wanted to make an extra buck or two. So they were selling things right there in the temple, right there in a place that was supposed to be used for prayer and for worship. And so what did Jesus do? He turned over those tables. He said, not in this house. This is my Father's house. You have made it a den of robbers, he says, when it was supposed to be a house of prayer for all the nations. So it wasn't being used for what it was supposed to be used for. Just like this cup, when I do this, It's not being used for what it's supposed to be used for. And in fact, it's filled with something else. So when it's like this, we can't drink water from this cup, can we? Just like when the temple was filled with all of these people buying and selling and trading things, it couldn't be used for its primary purpose, which was for people to come and worship God. There was something in the way. All of this other stuff that was there was in the way of these people being able to rightly worship God. And so the question for you is there anything in your way of worshiping God? Is it yourself? Sometimes we have other things that we think of and that we love more than God, and that's wrong. The Bible calls that idolatry, right? Jesus wants you to keep him the main thing. God should always be the main thing. If you are a believer and you have put your faith and your trust in Jesus, he should be the main thing to you. And when you make it about anything else, that's sinful and wrong. And so maybe today he's telling you to examine your life and see, what do you think about most? What do you spend most of your time doing? Because likely that might be the thing that you worship. What have you put before God? What have you filled that space with, that hole in your heart that should only be filled with him? And if you're not a believer, he's inviting you today to trust in him. So admit you're a sinner, believe in what he did, and commit your life to him, and he'll save you. And then you'll be a believer. You'll be a Christian, and you get to walk with him and know him all the rest of your days, and there is no greater joy than that. So I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and we'll chat next time.